So, I just probably spent the last 5 to 10 minutes talking with a muted mic. This is now my second recording of this. This isn't gonna be a big video. This isn't gonna be one of those ones where the Twitch banner pops up and I tell you to like the video. This is personal. In fact, I don't even know if I'm gonna post this. Not because I think it's bad and not because I don't think it's worth posting, but because I just don't know if I want to post. So if you're on YouTube and you're watching this, thank you. But I was thinking about this notion at work, and I've never thought about it this way before. And I don't know how many others think about it this way or feel this way, and I'm sure some people do. And it has to do with all of this gaming, more specifically, and why it's so important to me, and why it's something that I love, and why that love and admiration is a defining characteristic. It's why I buy like this, except that I didn't buy it. My fiance did for Christmas. One of my favorite ghost shells. So if you're watching, thanks, baby. It's why I buy big, fancy collector's editions that have things like this in it. It's why I buy all of these pop figures, my favorite characters, and why I went out of my way to buy energy drinks of one of my when I had one of my favorite. Okay, that one always falls. It's why I started doing this. Why I fell in love with Let's Plays on a website called GameAnyone.com. Why I fell in love with YouTubers like Jesse Cox and game reviewers like Some Call Me Johnny. It's been this constant in my life that has always brought me joy. Sometimes rage. I've had plenty of rage moments. I will not lie, on both single player games and plenty of multiplayer. Got Modern Warfare 2 in high school. But it's why I buy things like plushies of my favorite characters, which, by the way, I plan on getting a Sora and Kyrie one. I know they exist. I've seen the store square. I know. So I've mentioned what I'm gonna mention in this video. I've mentioned in other videos, like things I love about Destiny, and like my Kingdom Hearts 2 video, why Kingdom Hearts 2 is such a defining moment in my life, which I'll link both of those just at the end. But gaming has been part of my life for as long as I can remember. I can go back, and while a lot of my childhood memories at this point in my life are foggy, and I think that has to do with different things, like my dad leaving, or just the relationship my family had with my dad, how I was treated in school and things like that. While I can't remember much, I remember some things, and the things that stick out more than others are the video game. Not necessarily the games themselves, but more so memories tied to them. Obviously, the B-roll footage you're seeing is not going to be of every game that I'm going to talk about, because I don't have the means to capture that, but it's going to be about some of them. For example, I can go back in my memory, and I can go all the way back to when I was probably 5 or 6, and begging my mom to hook the Nintendo 64 up in the living room, because at the time it was our only TV, begging her to hook it up at night on the weekends so I could play Mario Kart 64, or we could play Mario Party 2. I remember borrowing a copy of Pokemon Red, which I never returned, and if I never borrowed that game, I would have never fallen in love with that franchise. I remember borrowing a copy of Mario Party 1 I never returned. I was really bad at that as a kid. And I think it's because I couldn't get enough, and I wasn't very good. To be honest, I was really bad at games as a kid. I have terrible hand-eye coordination, and obviously you need that when you game. I think that's why I enjoyed games like Mario Kart and Mario Party, but I remember getting Pokemon Crystal for Christmas, not being able to put it down. I remember then beating the Elite Four in Pokemon Crystal, catching Suicune beating the Elite Four. I remember I had for Alligator. That was my starter I chose. Loved how he looked, and now, funnily enough, I love Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil is my favorite starter. I always pick him. I remember playing Legacy of Goku as a kid and getting absolutely wrecked by Vegeta and Nappa, and giving up when I got to Namek because I couldn't solve the Namekian temple. I remember standing outside of school with kids in my class who had Legacy of Goku 2, and I told them that I could be Dr. Gero, and I got my butt handed to me. I remember playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And the Eternal Duelist Soul on the GBA, and a kid in my school had a different Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. I remember my neighbor at the time having a different Yu-Gi-Oh! Game and me wanting to borrow it so bad, and he wouldn't let me. I got so upset. I remember my mom used to buy me strategy guides, and some of them I still have. All of them ended up in horrible most of them. I shouldn't say all. Most of them ended up in terrible condition because I couldn't stop reading them. I just loved looking at the pictures. It was something that just piqued my sense, like my visual sense. Specifically Kingdom Hearts 2 and Pokemon Crystal. Those two strategy guides I burned through. I remember seeing my first Kingdom Hearts 2 commercial. In fact, even though Kingdom Hearts 2 was the first game I played of the franchise, the first time I saw the franchise was in a Toys R Us, and they had a Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memory, cardboard cutout right by the video game section. I remember just being so in awe of it. I had no idea. I was like, oh, it's Goofy. It's Donald. And I was like, who's this spiky-haired kid? Like most people who play the friggin' franchise. But I just thought he looked so cool. I remember going to Toys R Us with my mom and buying the Wild Thornberrys game on GBA and then wanting to return it because it was too hard for me. I remember buying the Pokemon trading card game because it came with a Pokemon card, which I collected at the time, thinking it was a new Pokemon game, being completely disappointed when it wasn't, and telling my mom that I don't like it, it's not the game I thought it was. And he was like, well, we can return it, but you don't get to keep the card. And I got terribly, terribly upset because the card was a rare card and I wanted it. And I remember driving back to Toys R Us in the rain. It was my mom, my dad, my sister, and me. My dad went in and returned the game. We waited in the parking lot. I could honestly go on with stories about remembering getting a game for the first time. And a lot of my childhood, those are a lot of the high moments. And I think that's one of the reasons that gaming is so important to me. So as I said in my Kingdom Hearts 2 video, as a kid, I was terribly picked on in school. And I don't want to sound like the cliche or like a victim and be like, oh, no, it sucked. I was made fun of by almost every kid in my grade in at least one grade or another. And all I wanted was a friend. And go to school every day and be denied that and get made fun of, and to the point where I would make myself sick, not physically, but nerves and anxiousness. My stomach would just be in knots, and I would just want to go home almost every day. And when I came home, I always had video games, whether it was falling asleep while playing Pokemon Pinball on the GBA, or getting stuck in Wario Land 3, or again, finally, getting a TV in my room and being able to hook up my Sega Genesis and get stuck at Chemical Plant Zone, or play Pokemon and things like that. Those were high points for me. And there were other things I did. Like, again, I loved food, so I ate a lot because I guess as a kid, when something tastes good, like like we've all been there. If it tastes good, that's it. We love it. And as a kid, you always want more of what tastes good. That, coupled with sudden rush of dopamine from feeling that it was an association of, oh, when I eat food, I get happy. Like, I can be happy when I eat food. You know, that led to a mess of problems down the road, but that's a video for another time. And there was, you know, I big anime fan. I loved watching Pokemon. I loved watching Dragon Ball Z. I loved watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Kid, I watched a lot of cartoons. Codename Kids Next Door, Ed and Eddie, a bunch of stuff. And maybe one day I'll do a video on the cartoons that kind of defined my childhood. But again, gaming was always there. And for having a crappy school life, and then coming home and constantly hearing parents argue and yelling and things like that, gaming was an escape. And I know a lot of people look at it that way. A lot of people used to look at it that way. A lot of people still do. I still look at it that way. And I kind of still hold the same outlook. As a kid, gaming was a way for me, depending on the game, a way for me to have friends, to be able to go on an adventure and feel like I mattered, I made a difference, and people were happy, and they were supportive and stuff of me, and my mom was always supportive. My grandparents were always supportive. Not saying they weren't, but all of that was again, it felt good. It was nice. Constant car rides, bringing my PlayStation 2 and my GameCube down the shore on vacations, when, you know, as I got older. And I still look at gaming that way. I definitely do. My viewpoint shifted a little bit, whereas before it was a kid looking for an escape because he wanted friends and he wanted people to accept him. Now it's an escape because sometimes I just want to feel like I'm making a difference. And you know, that's, again, I don't want this video to come off as me trying to be a victim or anything or something like that, because it's not. I just wanted to honestly talk about why I love gaming and why it's so important to me. And it's so important to me now because I can play a game like Destiny or Dragon Age Inquisition, and I can feel like I personally am making a difference. You know, it's not like Kingdom Hearts 3, where it's me playing as Sora. That's me getting to sit back and watch Sora make a difference. Watch Sora and his friends matter. And the reason why that game, again, was so important to me as a kid is because I felt like I was one of his friends. But now it's like, when I play Destiny, I can just take my mind to another world, and I'm no longer me playing Destiny. When it comes to these big story moments and these big story beats, I can put myself in the role-playing shoe, and I can be like, no, you're a Titan, you're a Warlock. And I don't know why I feel like I need that right now, but it's nice. Another great thing about gaming is it allows me to express myself a lot more easily than other things. One of the things I struggle with is this: making content, documenting or creating or whatever you want to call it. Making this video is something I struggle with because I have so many, you know, voices in my head and so many opinions that whether or not they're my own, I don't know. But when I play a game like Outer Worlds, I can be someone completely different. I can take that more charismatic side that I wish I was, and I can be that. And I can just let that charismatic side of me just run rampant through a world. And that's really cool. Another reason that this is all a big part of my life is this is where I made a lot of my friends. You know, my core group of friends who I still talk to this day, which includes Top and Lock. We started bonding over films, like we used to hang out, but our friendship flourished because we were all gamers in a sense. We all loved a game, and ever since then, we've had debates, we've had discussions, we've talked about Mario All-Stars, we've talked about the PS5, we've stayed up till 3 in the morning playing Call of Duty, and those are some of my favorite memories. Those are some of the most fun times I've had playing video games. I used to come home from school. I remember this clearly, and I don't know if my friends remember it, but I do. I used to come home from school, take my bus home, do whatever. I would go in my room, I would call Pop and Lock, I'd call my best friend, I'd put my phone on my shoulder, I'd sit on the floor, I'd look up at the TV, and I would play Infamous. And he would be playing Assassin's Creed. And we would sit on the phone for a good couple of hours a day doing that. Now, obviously, you have the luxury of Discord, Skype, FaceTime, Google Hangouts, like all that exists. So now we do it again in our 20s. What we used to do when we were 13. I don't know. It's moments like that, staying up till 3 in the morning and watching my friend wipe out an entire enemy team by himself in Search and Destroy with just a throwing knife. It's a story I tell all the time, and I'll continue telling it. It's one of my favorites. I was so excited. I was so happy. It was so cool to me. Those experiences defined who I am as a person. And now, what I struggle with is finding the time to make those memories and to make those experiences. And it has to do with, growing up. It's a part of growing up, right? I'm not a full-time content creator. Like, I can't just make videos about games and play games all day. I don't have a schedule that'll allow me that. I have to work, and I have to, make sure I get enough sleep and make sure I eat right and make sure I exercise because I want to have a healthy long-term life with my future family. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it sucks. Sometimes I want nothing more than to sit down and play a game. I want nothing more to sit down and make a video about a game. And sometimes I just can't. And I know there are people out there that view games the same way I do. Like, gaming is an anchor. And I've had plenty of people in my life say things like, all you talk about is video games and TV. Why do you play that game? The game's so stupid. Why do you waste all your time on video games? Like, I had a person at one point in my life, I valued that person as someone very important to me. And looking back, I felt like they thought what I was doing with my time in video games was like a waste of time. Like, I could be doing something else. It's just sad that people just dismiss it. And this isn't a video about, people need to respect. Like, no. Don't give a damn about anybody else's opinion but your own. You love playing video games till 3 in the morning? Play video games till 3 in the morning. That's it. You don't let your wife, your mother, father, your sister, your best friend, your best friend's boyfriend, you don't let any of them tell you you're wasting your time. If it makes you happy and it's not hurting anyone and you can afford to pay your bills, do it. That's it. That's why I still buy these. Gaming was a constant in my life because there were years where I felt alone. And knowing I had a place to run to, a place to just escape and nosedive into and completely lose myself, I'm so thankful for that. And honestly, my mind's starting to race and I can feel myself starting to just ramble. Honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way, because the best part of my days are spending time with my family, my fiance, and talking to my friends and playing video games. Hands down. Hands down, my favorite part of the day is just getting to just lose myself. On the weekends, when I don't have any chores and it's gaming time, that's it. And it's the best. And it's why I'm so excited for all of this stuff that's coming out. It's why I collect all of these things. It's who I am, and it makes me happy. And if you have anything like that in your life that makes you happy, hold on to it. Trust me. Just hold on to it. Thank you for listening to me talk, ramble, and rant. Thanks, ADHD. You're welcome, kid. I hope you have a good day or a good night whenever you're watching this. And just do what makes you happy. I'll talk to you next time.